Hey, what's up guys? Joker here. Just yesterday we were talking about the possibility of an announcement for the GTX 1080 Ti because we knew there was an Nvidia press conference going on, a big global event for all of the tech media, and we kind of speculated maybe it was going to be the 1080 Ti, maybe it was going to be Pascal Mobile, and a lot of people even were suggesting maybe we're going to see an announcement for the GTX 1050, and we actually have a rumor for the 1050, which I'm going to touch on at the end of this video. But it did seem like the bulk of what yesterday's conference was about was the 3GB GTX 1060. If you remember back before the 1060 even came out, there were a lot of rumors about there being a 6GB and a 3GB model of the graphics card, but when the 1060 finally came out with just a 6GB model, it looked like that may have been bunk. But now it looks like there will be a 3GB model priced at around $199, and that's that's Nvidia prices, so that's take it could be a little bit more than $199. I'm not saying AMD hasn't done the same thing recently. It's both sides have been guilty of some rather wishy-washy pricing and not really living up to the expectations of what they say at their press conferences. So we'll see, how much like the custom variants as well as the Founders Edition, if they do a Founders Edition on the 3GB version of the 1060, and see what those all come out at. So as far as the specs are concerned, though, on the 3GB 1060, it looks like they actually did remove some CUDA cores, dropping it from 1280 down to 1152, while maintaining the same 1.7 gigahertz boost clock, and the core is clocking it around 1.5 gigahertz. Still has the same 6-pin power connector and 120-watt TDP, so no really major changes as far as that kind of stuff is concerned. It looks like the big changes here really are, the removing some of the CUDA cores and also the video memory. So where is that really going to impact the GTX 1060 if you decide to save $50 and get the 3GB version? Probably in more memory intensive titles and playing games at 1440p. In my review of the GTX 1060 versus the RX 480, you saw that could power games at 1440p. Not everything at ultra, but most games you could play at like 1440p high settings on the 6GB version of the GTX 1060. So in my opinion, I think maybe the 3GB version might start to trail behind in some of those titles that are a little bit more demanding, not only just on the video memory used, but the memory bus as well. So we'll have to wait and see once the 3GB models of the GTX 1060 come out at around $199, which is really targeting, directly at AMD with their cards with the RX 470, which just released, and the 4GB RX 480. So it looks like Nvidia doesn't want to give AMD any leeway with that kind of, lower tier budget gamers. They're going, head on right at them. They're not going to let them have that price point for too long here. AMD's had like the title for like a month, and Nvidia's coming right back, and they're just like, nuh-uh, AMD. Nuh-uh. It's a shame because I really did expect AMD to kind of beat up on Nvidia here at the low price points, but we'll have to wait and see what the actual performance is at the end of the day, and test the 3GB version up against like something like the RX 470. I think that would be a really good matchup. Although, to be honest, given the performance we've already seen between the likes of RX 480 and the 6GB GTX 1060, I'm going to have to assume that the Nvidia card is probably going to take away the majority of titles there, with maybe AMD winning out in some DX11 and maybe most DX12 titles. But yeah, we'll have to see on the final card. We did also have a rumor here regarding GTX 1050, and it is just that, literally just a rumor. There's talks about possibly a 1050 coming out in October around $150. This is courtesy of IT Home or It Home. This is like I think it's Chinese. Please don't yell at me and tell me I'm racist because I don't know what language that is. I really don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know. I think it's China. Could be Korea, could be Japan. Really don't know. But anyway, they're circulating a rumor that there could be a replacement for the GTX 950 with the GTX 1050 around $150 with 128-bit memory bus. So that would be brought down from the GTX 1060. But yeah, that could be a pretty good card there. It would be competing obviously with the RX 460, so that would kind of almost complete the stack for Nvidia and really give them a lot of strong competitors up against all of the 400 series cards that we've seen so far. So where is that really going to put AMD at the end of the day? This has been a pretty brutal fight between Nvidia and AMD these past few months, having all of these cards coming out back to back. It feels like every week we got a different GPU dropping. So looking forward to seeing what this can do, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. You're going to wait for a GTX 1060 3GB, that $200. That could be really compelling if your only concern is 1080p gaming. That could be really good. But I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here and edit this video up, and I will catch you guys next time. Sure.